It's time to rethink how we raise our pets, a reset to naturally healthy dogs and cats. My name is Jessica. I'm a certified professional canine nutritionist, raw nutrition certified for dogs and cats, a holistic pet health coach, the founder of Wild Wellness Pet, and the host of the Pet Parenting Reset podcast, where every pet deserves the absolute best and every pet parent is welcome. Learn from the best holistic and integrative experts in veterinary medicine and nutrition every Tuesday, right here on this podcast. Or get individualized help with your pet through one-on-one consultations and take a deep dive into the root cause with the Wild Wellness Bioenergetics at-home test kit. If you've been feeling like there has to be something more, something better, a better way to raise healthier pets, welcome to the Pet Parenting Reset. If any of you are not familiar with me, my name is Jessica. I am the founder of Wild Wellness and the host of the Pet Parenting Reset podcast. And this is with Girls Gone Raw Pet Health, who you guys love so much. Every time she's on the Pet Parenting Reset, I get so many DMs and messages about how much y'all love Lauren. So
That's good.
I know, right? Okay, so we've been talking about this for a little while, and I'm kind of glad we're doing almost like a year-end wrap-up type deal with this. Originally I was like, okay, I love like your stance on Purina that you did. You had like a little rant that you did
Yeah.
a little while back on Purina. And then I thought, let's just like kind of take it all the way around and talk about what the big pet food brands are doing and what they have been doing in 2025, because I think we're starting to see a pretty big shift.
Yeah.
I don't I don't know. I have lots of feelings about it. But then there's also been some demonization of fresh food in the news lately that I thought we could talk about. So we'll just kind of like do like a year-end wrap up on all things big pet food,
I'm like, how long you got? That's the
right?
problem. Like, it's one of those that just that rant was coming for like years, but I try not to be controversial because like I don't want attention because I said something controversial,
Yeah.
but it like had to be said.
Yeah.
It's I just the there's something about Purina specifically that is so culty. Like
It
what is
is.
it? I want to know. People just like will live, breathe, and die for Purina, and I'm like, they don't care about you. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, tell me. I mean, because it is an interesting and different thought process, because you're right. And I feel like, we've said this about a lot of different things. Like I know this is going to sound silly to compare it to, but to me, it is so silly for somebody to like, I'll see somebody wearing like, a team jersey and they talk about my team this and my team that. And I'm like, one, like you have no stake in this team. These people have no idea who you are. Like it's fine to be a fan, but
Yeah, I don't understand that. And like maybe that's why I don't understand the stan. People that are like,
yeah,
"Oh, I'm stan." I don't do sports. Sorry. I have for content so many animals in my house right now.
yes, Lauren is fostering.
I'm fostering this giant beast and his brother who's chewing on a treat that apparently the other one is not good enough. And then I have my Rottweiler trapped behind a gate who is going to be
Oh, on
singing,
cue.
singing for us. So, hey, Scarlett, I
Is
feel like this is like a moment in the life of like a crazy overcommitted dog lady.
yeah, is
My dog
she
just had amputation surgery too, and she's in like a double cone or a double donut. Scarlett Jolie.
is she healing okay?
Yeah, she's fine. It's like annoying because she won't stop trying to run. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna come.
It's okay. I think everybody here understands dog. Like,
Okay. I think it's not one of those where I showed up wearing like pajama bottoms and a tuxedo top or something. I didn't know I'd be getting up and down so often. Okay, so back on topic. I don't understand like this loyalty to Hills and Purina and stuff like that, because not only does that just create so much ignorant single-mindedness, Like, I'm not committed to any brand. I like the brands that have earned my trust. There's a couple of them that I'm like, I fed it for a long time. I've talked to your reps, I've talked to your owners, I've looked at your formulas. There's nothing that you've ever done to prove to me that you obviously every business needs to make their money. Every business is profit driven. We can't just ignore the fact that people need to live in a capitalistic society, but the motivation behind what's choosing the ingredients and what is driving your company forward is, I think, what's different because, I get so heated about it. I could be making so much more money if I had lower standards and different intentions. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But I don't. I want to work with small farms. I refuse to put in cheap ingredients. I refuse to cut corners. You know what I mean? I refuse to even get a co-packer because I don't want somebody else deciding the quality of my treats. Purina to me is there's the people that love Purina Pro-Plan, right?
Yeah.
On the spectrum, and this is what my whole rant was about if people didn't see it. On the spectrum, Purina Pro-Plan could be worse.
Yeah.
Something I
Sure.
would feed my dogs, but it could be worse. It's a decent option for people if you maybe have problems with accessibility, even though we have Chewy and we have deliveries now. So it's a little bit less of a reason, but it could be worse. Okay. It's decently cost effective, but to me, feeding anything by Purina is like putting money into like the poison makers because you know what I'm saying? I don't have
Yeah.
words right now apparently, but
Yeah.
I
Well,
don't I don't know how you could go ahead.
it's kinda like the opioid epidemic, right? Like, these people knew they were putting out a product that was detrimental, but they were making money hand over fist, so they kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, and, they got a slap on the wrist,
It's
comparatively,
Yeah, and I
right?
don't
Like,
like to go too deep into the conspiracy of, like, are they putting out a toxic product to get us or our dogs or whatever, more dependent on the pharmaceutical system, to get more money into veterinarians because your dogs are sicker? I don't like to play into that. I think that if that's the reality, then we're just screwed as a society and as a species. I'm sure there are people like that, and I think the pharmaceutical industry is certainly like that. You know me, I like a good conspiracy, but I don't like to play into that one. But
well,
what's
even yeah, even if that's not the case, even if it's just what we do know for a fact that they are taking waste product and using it in pet food, and they advocate to continue to be able to do that and to find new ways in which to use waste products in pet food. Like, that's real. Like,
Scarlett, she's such a beautiful singer. Yeah,
yeah.
and honestly, I understand that too.
Yeah.
Because even in my industry, I'm essentially buying waste. Now, given
Yeah.
my waste is nutritious, but I'm essentially finding a way to take waste and create a
Mhm.
business from it. And it benefits the farmers because that's product that would normally be thrown away or just sold for cents to a renderer. So I get that. And like I like to devil's advocate on it so I can understand really what's driving these companies. But Scarlett Jolene, she's gonna kill me. Um, my problem is I think it even comes down to the veterinarians that are just diehard Purina, right? Because whether you back the research, okay, or whatever they're doing, and they have some beneficial products. They have their like veterinary diets and things like that. You are also backing Kitten Caboodle, Moist and Meaty. I mean, some of the most toxic things on the in the entire industry. And like I pulled up the ingredients between them. So for Purina overall, let's see, their products they have, like, their premium ones is your Purina Pro plan, their whole thing is that's, like, veterinary backed, performance, science driven, which is wild to me. Higher protein than their budget line, still not great. Their, like, mid-tier is Purina One, it's natural, it's got real meat first, whatever. And then you also have Purina dog chow, Purina cat chow. Moist and meaty is like toxic soup. And like Alpro Purina, hey, that's your brother's. Leave that alone. Go get yours. They're driving me nuts. Hey, you. Ugh! Everyone's in belly bands right now. This is Leo.
Leo.
It's just, how can you claim that you are health and science backed and then put out things like propylene glycol? Red 40 for dogs, yellow, blue, I mean, corn syrup in
Yeah.
a diet? There's no way that anybody looked at that and said, "Yep, that's nutritious." And then the justification is, well, low budget families need food too. Yeah, but they don't have to have all of this crap. Just simplify it. Sure, use meat and bone meal, right? Which is meat and bone meal is basically like the baseline garbage rendered meal. It can be literally anything, right? Expired meat, roadkill. I'm gonna kill her. Go.
She's so upset.
She's in a donut like the size of a hallway though right now. Go.
Oh.
This is why I should have gotten the crate ahead of time. But you know what I mean? I'm like, how can a veterinarian rightfully back a brand that puts things in that we know are toxic? How
Yeah.
can you call it nutrition driven when it has things that have no nutrition and are negatively detrimental? So the
Well,
whole
I
thing
I
is so
mean,
backwards to me.
sadly think that opens up a whole other can of worms because like I finally found a veterinarian here because I moved again this year back to Virginia, and like after many trial and errors, I found a veterinarian that I can work with who is willing to just check the box and say, no, we're not going to ask you to do vaccines on your 16-year-old cats again, right? Like
Yeah.
and I had a conversation on the phone with her yesterday because I took my boyfriend's cats in to have blood work done, and the kitten needs to be neutered. So we had to do like the well visit for that. And she called me back with the blood work results, and we were talking about what the cat is eating. And I'm like, I finally, she ate kibble for the first 8 years of her life. I've only known her this many months. I've transitioned her to a wet food. She acts like she's starving, so she's actually eating the kitten's raw food as well because she acts like, nobody ever feeds her, which is why I took her in to get her blood work done in the first place.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Well, I just would really recommend you, still feed her some dry food because it cleans her teeth." And
Oh my God. Fired.
I'm like, "I what am I supposed to do with this?" But I think that kind of again, like, this is a whole bigger thing that, like, I don't think there's any one reason. I think it's, these are the people that are in front of them the most. These are the people that are probably bringing in a lot of possibly free or discounted product. These are the people that are, bringing in the baskets of cookies. And these are the people that are,
Hard to not blame somebody for having
yeah,
the ignorance enough to believe that.
yeah,
If you were a
yeah,
medical doctor, I know that you're or whatever, veterinary medical doctor. I know that your schooling was so hard. You have to be so incredibly smart to get through that school, to even get through the prereqs. I couldn't get through OChem, right? And that's why I ultimately it pushed me to deciding not to go to vet school because I'm just not a student. You have to be so driven and intelligent. And to just believe something like that because a sales rep says it to you or whatever reason you believe it, to me is just like peak silly ignorance.
yeah, yeah. It's an excuse, but it's not a good reason.
It's not a good
Like,
reason, and I'm
yeah,
like, that to me is, like, the easiest thing to discredit. They don't even chug like, this puppy just threw up an entire pile of entire kibbles. Not a
mhm,
single one of them was chewed.
yeah, yeah,
Does eating a Snickers bar clean your teeth? Yeah, it's just wild to me that people use that as a selling tactic. I'm like, say what you want about science-driven nutrition and whatever. If you wanna use that as your reasons, those are good reasons. If you believe science and studies and things like that, you're a professional. I get it. You might just not be holistically minded. You might not have that inclination to look past the surface level. And
uh-huh,
that's not everybody has that. And it's hard to blame against that. I grew up thinking holistically, so it's something that I have to look at even with very small things, things in our house, things in our cars, emotional subjects. It's my instinct to look down to the base. What's causing this? How do we fix that? And then a lot of people just are surface level. But yeah, it's the veterinarians that say ignorant things like that I think disappoint me the most
Yeah.
because you are the ultimate source of information. And so
Mhm.
then you have people on the internet, I'm assuming calling out you. I'm sure I get plenty and they're like, "Oh yeah, because I'm gonna take nutrition advice from somebody who's not a vet." And I'm like, "Girlfriend, I have more, if not the same nutrition experience than your veterinarian."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it was super disappointing because there are things that she's very, like, open-minded about, you know? Like, I called because I knew I was gonna have to get my kitten a rabies vaccine to get him an appointment for a neuter, right? And I'm like, "Okay, well, I wanna make sure I'm getting a thimerosal-free vaccine," and all they stock is that adjuvant-free, thimerosal-free, like, that's all they have, which is not easy to come by in a veterinarian's office, right? Like, and yeah, it was like a gut punch when I heard her say that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like you're on a really, really, really good date. Everything's going great, and then they say, like, something really ignorant, and you're like, "Gosh, you just ruined everything. We were
Yeah.
doing so
Right,
good." I
right.
know. Even my vet, we have a really good relationship, and so we're at a point where he's like, "You know what that is, right? You're good? You have that at home?" And I'm like, "Yep." But it's hard even to see the I get reminders for, like, yearly vaccines, and I'm like, "I know you don't believe in that. Like, I know that you have to make money, but it's
Yeah,
hard to see
it
that."
is.
It ruins it a little bit for me, but I don't know. I know that clinics struggle to make money. Not a single vet is out there. Maybe the surgeons that have worked really hard to specialize, but not a single vet is out there rolling in the dough, you
Yeah,
know? And I
yeah.
know it's a hard career. Like I said, I never, ever, ever want to discredit vets, but it's just so disappointing to see some of them just blindly believe some of this stuff.
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, it's
So
I have a ingredient panels here. Pro plan, whatever. You have chicken, poultry byproduct meal, not great, and fish meal. Like that's their high quality one. And
yeah,
then you have, so that's one, two, three meat products. And then one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. And that two, three split corn products. And then three split wheat products too. So you know it's even higher.
yeah.
And that's their high
So,
quality.
yeah, for anybody listening who doesn't understand what that means, ingredients are often split into, say, corn I don't know,
Yeah, so
cornmeal
you have,
and corn.
whole grain corn, corn protein meal, and corn germ meal, and
Yeah,
then, whole grain wheat, wheat flour, wheat bran. So when you add all of that together, that might be a third, a third, and a third, but when you add that together, that's gonna end up being heavier than the meat products that are in there, especially when your first ingredient is chicken, which we know is mostly water. So when they say real meat as the first ingredient, you take out 70% of that is water, you end up not actually having that much. And
yeah,
I think, like, being able to read a label like that is such a powerful tool, even if you don't have the knowledge or the skill set to look deeper into things like that, being able to flip over a bag and kinda decode some of that bull crap on the ingredient labels is the best. And the most disappointing thing of that, I think, is that a lot of these holistic brands, the ones that look like something that we would like or approve of, they're just as bad. I mean, I worked for, Champion, so Origin and Acana before they sold. I worked for them, and I was a sales rep, and they were okay on the market. It was a good one. They were, like, the only really high protein one. Farmina was just kinda coming in, and they were doing a freeze-dried at the time. But, I mean, you see, like, all the marketing rules and everything like that, and it just is so disappointing because 'cause they're just preying on consumers being simple,
Yeah,
liking cute pictures, like that series you've been doing with the treats, they're just preying on people's
yeah,
reptilian brains. You see a baby and you wanna buy it, you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's how kittens
I know.
get us.
Well, it was me, like, I literally was just walking through Trader Joe's, and I'm like, "This packaging is so cute, let me look and see what's in it," right? And I was like, "Oh my gosh, let
Yeah.
me feed my dog sugar. Why would I do that?"
That's just wild. I mean, literally, in one of their diets I'm trying to figure out which one. 1, 2, 3. The 4th ingredient in Moist and Meaty by Purina is high fructose corn syrup. Corn
Wow.
syrup in a diet. People feed this to their dogs every single day, and they're like, "Why does my dog have diabetes?"
Yeah. Is arguably worse than even just sugar because of how it hijacks your, insulin response system. But, I think at the bottom line, kind of what you're saying with Purina is just that there's no ethics there.
Yeah. I think I've just been angry ranting, but that is it. I mean, it's I don't know. I think that they're just, like, predatory. I think it's a predatory
Yeah.
company, and I get it. You have shareholders. Like I said, everybody needs to make money, but it's just a really, really shitty thing to gamble with. That's that's animals living, like, dying sooner and getting horrible, terrible diseases potentially because of malnutrition because you wanted to make a quick buck. And whether or not you like Purina Pro Plan or you like some of their scientists or their flashy marketing, they're okay with that. They're okay with an
Mhm.
animal eating moist and meaty or kitten caboodle with its red dye, yellow dye, blue dye, green dye. They are okay with your animal eating that and dying prematurely. And that, to me, you cannot trust the brand as a whole.
Yeah. Well, and to kind of take things a step further, and I know this is probably still pretty controversial with a lot of people, I don't think we're ever going to know what happened. And I wholeheartedly believe there will never be any accountability for what happened at the beginning of 2024 with Purina. There were thousands of animals reported very, very ill, many of them dying after opening new bags of Purina food and all across the board. Like, and it did kind of trickle. There were some reports into other brands as well, but it started with Purina and they had the largest numbers. And I just don't, I mean, the FDA was like, there's nothing here. Meanwhile, literally thousands of animals are dying, dead or seriously ill, and some of them were euthanized because of how ill they were.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's sadly, I don't think we're ever gonna know, and I don't think anyone's ever gonna be held responsible for it.
Which is yeah, like I said, I like to play the game of devil's advocate with myself to try to figure out, like, what other people are thinking because I know as a fact that you and I are examples of a very, like, one-sided niche, you know what I mean? And I'm so lucky to be part of it where I'm just my entire feed for the most part is people that support at least on TikTok is brutal, okay? But at least on Instagram and Facebook, I'm surrounded by people that have the same message, and I feel like, whether or not it's profit driven, I feel like the information is good. The information is driving good habits and education. There's people that just see their dogs as dogs or tools, and there's people that just see animals as profit. And yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that. But I acknowledge the fact that there's people that just don't care as much. And I don't know. I
Yeah.
lost my train of thought on that.
And I think but I think the majority of there are always outliers, but I think the majority of people that do have pets genuinely think they're doing right by their animals, and if and when they do happen to learn something new, are willing to implement it as best they can. It's just a matter of getting the information to them.
When this is the last potty break. Sorry, everybody. Oh, we
You're
lost
g
it in the process. Come here, Sterling.
No. My gosh. I will say I'm not looking forward to getting Camden neutered because I know I'm gonna have to get a donut for him, He is.
I've been really lucky that with, like, every surgery and every whatever, I haven't really had to do that, like neuters, even spays, usually can put some underwear on, but this one's hard because it's her foot,
Yeah.
and she can lick it, she can reach it through everything. The cone, she can get out of it, I don't know how. She's getting out of the cone, so we're doing a double donut. She's got a big one and then a little one, and but she already, like, ripped a stitch, and
Yeah.
it's been a little frustrating, but
Yeah. Like, she's gonna walk on it, so you can't
I know,
blame
that's I'm
that
like,
part.
how do you even avoid that?
Yeah.
She has to she's gonna
Yeah.
trip, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the topic. Sorry, I'm chaos
Yep.
today. The Yeah, I would agree. I think the bulk of people at least want the best for their dogs. It is disappointing because I work with people a lot. I do a lot of markets, and especially at my expos and stuff, you see a lot of different demographics. Diapers doing its job, okay? You see a lot of different demographics, and everybody, I think, thinks that they're doing great. They're like, "Yeah, my dog is doing so great on his food." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, what do you do? Dog chow?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have to come up with a polite way to explain. It's almost like, I think of it like a game. I don't wanna say it like make it a trivial, like, "Oh, I'm gonna trick you" kinda way, but it's almost like a game to try to figure out what talking points are going to not offend them, are going to hit what they care about, and are
Yeah.
going to actually encourage actionable change,
Mhm.
because it's hard. You could say something that offends somebody very quickly. I mean, people, if you're like, "Oh, that is a terrible food," you need to change that right away. They're gonna be like, "Screw you. You think I'm killing my dog?" Like, no. So you have to say like, "Oh, that's why'd you choose that one? Because of like, does it just fit your budget really well? Is it easy to get?" And a lot of times it's just that's what they came from the breeder on, which makes me wanna punch a baby. That's what they've always fed, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of times, if you can at least encourage them, like, "Oh, you have free range chickens? Throw some chicken eggs on there." I would rather somebody do a kibble that they can afford and then add some fresh foods to it than go to a high-end kibble that is pressing the budget to the limit.
Yep.
Because in
Me
the end,
too.
kibble is kibble. You're still getting ages, you're still getting carbs, you're still getting synthetic nutrients, with the exception of what, like 2 kibbles out there. In the end, kibble is kibble. I'd rather somebody go on like, one of my favorites to recommend for people that want to try something fresh, but, like, are pretty budget restricted. I like Nutrisource. Nutrisource grain-free. It could be so much worse,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
It could be a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
better, but it's a great starting point, and then maybe that allows them to go buy Primal. And I'd rather you
Mhm.
have half Nutrisource and half Primal because your protein, your moisture, your fresh food ingredients are going through the roof. And I people hate on Primal all the time. Um, it's so accessible to people.
It is.
It's whole
Yeah.
food balanced. Is it perfect? No, but it's a really, really great option. It's relatively budget friendly. You can get it almost anywhere now.
Mhm.
And there is a lot of, I think, judgment and exclusivity in our little aggressive niche of the industry, you know? And I'm like, listen, I'm not rolling in money. I'm lucky to have a lot of brand partners that I get discounted food or maybe free products. Otherwise, I probably would just be stuck to buying whatever I could afford, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
And it is important to remember that, and that's why I'm like, I understand why we need to have a low cost budget kibble because I'd rather a dog be eating something than starving.
Mhm.
But there's
Yeah.
so many people out there that could afford better that are feeding moist and meaty because they think that it's top notch
Yeah. Yeah.
or clean to
Well,
boodle.
and okay, so you brought up synthetics, and that was another point that I wanted to talk about today because in the news recently, of course, the headlines are always just there to scare you, right? They're not actually giving you the story. The headlines were gently
Right.
cooked or fresh food is causing what was it? Bladder
The
stones?
calcium
Yes, bladder
oxalate
stones.
crystals.
Yeah. So the truth of the matter is that it is not a fresh food problem. It's a problem with foods that are using a particular synthetic ingredient, which generally speaking, like obviously you just went through the whole thing about feeding what you can afford and doing the best you can. Ideally, we do want all whole food formulated diets, right? So, like, if we could just snap our fingers and we lived in this utopia, like everybody would be feeding all whole foods all the time, right?
Yeah.
With no synthetics. But it is so there are a handful of brands like the Farmer's Dog, Just Food for Dogs, Nom Nom, Ollie. Like they're out there and they have a bunch of synthetics in them. And but they
Absolutely.
are like I feel like we've had this argument before, or at least I know I have, that it's still not something I would want to feed to my animal, but at least they're out there letting people know there's another option other than that,
Yes.
kibble.
Even sometimes I'm grateful for fresh pet. I say that very guardedly because I think that it's hot dog quality.
Yeah.
But it's better than it could be. It at least, yeah, it opens their mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, synthetics, that's a hard one. There's so many raw food brands that I will not feed because they use those synthetics.
Yeah.
And yeah, like this calcium oxalate crystal, it's easy to slap zinc cholate or whatever into the ingredients
It's
and say, oh,
choline.
covers zinc. But then next thing down the line, you know that we have this strange disease, these strange crystals. You don't know how things are going to process for different dogs.
Yeah.
It's also why I switch brands all the time.
Mhm. Yeah. So it's choline bitartrate, and, Dr. Judy said that, she still isn't super concerned with it unless you have a dog that is already prone to making bladder stones, and there are a lot of breeds that kind of are. So just knowing your breed of dog, which if we have
Yeah.
mutts first of all, I think generally speaking, mutts tend to be healthier anyway, like, they're just hardier animals.
Yeah.
But, like, knowing if your dog has a predisposition to something, regardless of what it is, we're just happen to be talking about bladder stones right now, like, is something we do wanna know. Like, Kim is a mutt, and I had her Embark tested a number of years ago, and say what you want about all the tests out there, but to me, something is better than nothing, and I know that she has a predisposition for IVDD. So, I've gotta do what I need to do to make sure that she stays lean and, I'm making sure that she's active and she's not losing muscle mass and, all
Yeah.
the things.
I think that's the power of like knowing your breeds in general. And I like Embark for that reason. Like, it's not
Yeah.
just always for fun to know what kind of mix your
Mhm.
dog is, especially if you're getting from a puppy. Like, okay, we know there's golden retriever in there. Let's just support the heart. That's why I have this monster. They are puppy mill releases, and he has a serious heart murmur as well as entropion. So he has to go to a heart consult, and that's on like golden retrievers and heart disease are like one and the same.
Yeah.
And so if you know that you have that dog, it doesn't hurt to just support it from the beginning.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that point. That's don't wait for something to go wrong to support it. Know your
Yeah.
breed, know your dog. This goofball is cracking me up.
But
Give me a pen.
also, why pay raw food prices for synthetic nutrients, right? Like, that's kind of a sticking point for me, especially with my clients. I'm like, "But you're paying the same or roughly the same amount as this other brand that I would much rather you feed your dog."
So my point with fresh food that is, I think, a complicated one. What do you do? Don't lick the microphone. I'm cautious when recommending things because, like, I don't want somebody to just jump in and make their own food. It's going to
Yeah.
be cost effective, but it'll either A, you'll do it right and you'll burn out. B, you could do it right and you find a great groove with it because you have good resources and the time to do it. For me, it burnt me out. I was panicking. I'm like, I'm doing the wrong vitamin D. I'm gonna like get my dog toxicity. I was freaking out. Or you're gonna go on the internet, you're gonna see somebody like, oh my God, this Canadian Labrador breeder or something that I was finding. And he's like, hey, come with us to make 100 pounds of dog food. And he just ground like 100 pounds of beef, cracked like 4 eggs in there, and like a bag of blueberries. And I was like, do you do any sort of premix with that?" And he's like, "No, no, we just yeah, this is it." I'm like, do you do any organ meats?" And I think I sent that in the group because it just, like, made me crazy. People are gonna look at this, they're gonna see a sporting dog breeder with these healthy, muscular dogs, and while I'm not saying that that's unhealthy, I'm saying that that is dangerous for the long term. So I
Yeah.
made sure to put on there, like, yeah, these are all really, really great ingredients. Just be aware that there are deficiencies that won't manifest right away that could make your dog live a lot shorter life or get sicker down the road. Like the DCM thing, you can support the heart naturally. It's the deficiencies of feeding something that's not, especially synthetics, that's not processing right all
Mhm.
the time for their whole life. Eventually, oh my gosh, this goofus keeps falling off the couch. Eventually, it's going to add up. And then you'll be treating the symptoms, you know what I mean? Then it's too late often to go down the line versus, I don't know. I just don't trust any food to cover all the bases. Even these foods that I love, I rotate constantly. Maybe I'll get a
Mhm.
bag of Primal. For my cats, I do Vital Essentials. I do Oma's Pride, their whole prey grinds. I do small batch. I'll be in the Christmas tree. I swear to God. We got my son's like kindergarten ornament. I'll kill it.
Oh, oh,
Not puppy proofed. I don't know what I was thinking.
my goodness.
And I am obviously over paranoid and that's not realistic for people to buy a different brand every time. But I'm like, at
I
least
don't think it is unrealistic. I mean,
there's
I
so many
so
pet foods out there.
there are with Camden, um, like, I've already fed him, Savage Cat, Rar,
Raw.
Rar, OC Raw, Otis. Like, he has had Green Juju. He has had a lot in
Yeah.
the 3 months that I've had him, and different proteins, and I mean, I don't if you have a local and indie pet store that carries multiple things or that will order for you, I don't think it's unreasonable.
You
Yeah.
can get I mean, you could get Dr. Harvey's on Amazon. You can get I don't know that
Yeah.
you can't get these very often, but they have their own website now. You can go with the link in my bio. They ship straight to your door. They have like 14 different proteins. And it's the same thing with intolerances to all these vets telling people and like, oh, pick one food and don't ever change it. Go from the puppy lamb and rice to the adult lamb and rice to the senior lamb and rice. That's the best way to go. And I'm like, who? Why did we get there? Why did that conclusion? Because a dog got diarrhea when you changed their food after they'd been eating the same protein for like 75 years?
Right. I know. I
That's
know, it
another
drove
one
me
of
crazy.
those.
I was actually I had a follow-up with a client the other day whose dog ended up having to go into surgery for a foreign object obstruction, and we had spent almost a year going through rotation and elimination and figuring out the foods that this dog does best on and rotating foods and finding adding more and more and more so that he was getting a good rotation, and the first thing the vet tells her is like, "Nope, I need you to either put him on this single protein diet and never change it, or put him on the hydrolyzed protein diet." And I'm like, "No to either, please."
Hydrolyzed protein is like one step above starvation.
Yeah, yeah, it drives me nuts.
I get it as a Band-Aid fix, as a person with an itchy dog, a mystery itchy dog, which is maybe not so mystery anymore, but I get it, but
Mhm.
use it as a Band-Aid
Yeah,
and then or even like a vegetarian food, use it as a Band-Aid, but honestly, I'd rather you feed plain chicken or something for a while
yeah, same, same.
than
I do that a lot,
spray-dried
actually.
feather meal or whatever it is in the hydrolyzed protein.
Yeah,
The people that are
I know.
like, "My dog's on hydrolyzed protein, he does so good, we've been feeding it his whole life," and I'm like,
Yeah,
"Your poor dog, your
I
poor
know.
dog."
I know.
Again, I see veterinary diets as a tool.
Well, and we have multiple companies now that are creating healthier versions of what the veterinary diets are trying to do. So we have Medicus veterinary diets. Goodness gracious has their I always get it wrong. Like was it their like I don't know, but it starts with an R. They have a line of products that are designed to use whole food nutrition to mimic what they're trying to accomplish in better. I think Darwin's has some. Raised Right, I think has some. Like
Yeah, I was
there's
gonna say, I just saw raised rights, like pancreatic diets and stuff like that.
yeah, so there are options out there now, thank goodness.
Yeah. I don't know why it took people so long to get there, but I know it's hard, especially the FDA, like, does not like it. They'd rather you slap together a bunch of synthetic nutrients and call
He's
it
like, "I'm just gonna chew on your microphone."
check 1, 2, check, check.
Okay, so that actually kind of leads me into the final topic that I had for today, which is just a discussion on like where these big pet foods are going. They're showing us they're transitioning, not completely transitioning, but that they are opening up into the fresh food market. And I think this is going to be, I don't know, it's either going to be very difficult for them to go to veterinarians and say, psych, we were just kidding, here we have this fresh food now, or they're gonna take it to veterinarians and they're just gonna be like, "Yep, whatever you say."
Their argument's gonna be that, like, "Well, we were losing them. We had to be inclusive to bring these people back into the fold before we lost them to the devil that is raw food." Like, shut up,
Yeah.
first of all. I just, like it's so hard for me, I think, to comprehend the, like, fear of fresh food.
I
And it
know.
is I mean, like, I know people like that breeder putting that, like, raw diet recipe out there, like it's fact. Those are the people that ruin it. And the people that are like, "Oh, yeah, I just crock pot chicken, rice, and peas, and my dog
Yeah.
loves it."
Yeah. I'm
There's,
sure they
like,
do,
no
but
excuse me, yeah, I'll bet they do, and I'll bet it your dog will probably be very healthy for a very solidly long time until something insidious starts sneaking in because you're not doing any kind of iron, you're not doing you know, as well-meaning as those are, you're kind of ruining it for us, like, those of us that are fighting for respect from
Mhm.
professionals, and to have, like, Green Juju did a feeding trial, I believe, and there's a couple other ones, but to have legitimate companies putting out honest to God whole food products and say what you want about HP.
Yeah, I'm not
I
mad at it.
think it allows Steve's did research on the HPP to find what settings and how they can do it without
Yeah.
causing nutritional differences, and I know that Green Juju does that as well. Some people
Mhm.
do bacteriophages, but, okay, that immediately checks off the, "Well, your dog's gonna get salmonella." First of all, this is so rigorously tested. You're
Yeah.
gonna get salmonella from lettuce before your dog's gonna get
Oh,
salmonella
yeah.
from this. Unless you're handling it
Absolutely.
like a maniac and
Yeah.
you're leaving it on the counter for a week before you feed it to your dog.
Well, I don't like, I have a healthy relatively healthy dog, and so I do feed green juju, but I don't feed it exclusively. Right? And I have fed Steve's, but I don't feed it exclusively. I have found with client dogs, and even with Kim to some degree, that the older they get, oftentimes, either if they have, like, a disease state, especially if it's something, to do with their GI tract, or as they age, some dogs tend to do a little bit better on a gently cooked food.
Yeah.
And I actually find that HPP has been like a stepping stone, like going from a raw diet to an HPP'd raw diet, like they can get a couple more years on a raw diet with an
Yeah.
HPP'd food because I have no science to back this up, but I feel like I've noticed it with so many dogs now that it's just easier for them to digest.
Yeah. I mean, I know for my seniors, I'm going off of kind of what you would say the woo-woo, the energetics and stuff,
Yeah.
but I think that my dogs have a lot more energy and a lot more vigor when they're eating warm foods.
Yeah.
So that's why I really liked doing, the Dr. Harvey's. I would rehydrate that with a hot water. They did amazing on that, and then I'd give them, like, a big hunk of pork loin and, rotate the fats and things like that. Even the steves, when we're doing that, I have a kettle, I just flip that on, and I think I did a whole reel about this. It's not complicated, it's just, like, add hot water to your dog's food. But
Yeah.
I always let it sit and at least let it get up a little bit because, I used to be
Yeah.
a person that would chuck a frozen patty at my dog and be like, "Oh, enrichment." And it can. I mean, think about the nerves that fire off when you eat a big chunk of ice cream, and it slows your gut, it can cause some inflammation, and at the very least, we're trying to reduce the amount of neurological stress on senior dogs. I have 2 somehow, by the grace of God, extremely healthy, minus the stinky toe, 2 extremely healthy, extremely vigorous 13-plus-year-old dogs, and, um, yeah, you have to shift a bit, you have to pivot. I am so pro fresh food or, like, gently cooked food. My only downside is that, like, why does it always have carbs?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I
Well, and
love the idea of
especially
Aldi and things like that for people. Why does it always just have so many potatoes or rice? Or I'm like,
yeah.
take that out, and I would love it so much more.
I know. Well,
I
and
don't
I think fermented if you're able to get a fermented food, that's gonna be a little bit easier to digest as well, but Kim won't eat it. I wish she would. She just the fermented food that we all
like,
know and
this
love on the market right now, she just won't eat it. I wish she would, she just won't. But, yeah, so I just had a like, I haven't used a third of the notes that I put together for today either, but just in 2025 alone, so Hills, which is Colgate-Palmolive, bought Prime 100, which is an Australian raw food brand. Granted, from what I remember, the research I did about this, it's like a chub of meat with a bunch of synthetic vitamins and minerals in it, so it's kind of right up their alley, like, they're not
it's AAFCO
deviating.
compliant, but because
Right.
we dropped a Chinese
Blue Buffalo, which is General Mills, came out with in the summer of this year, they are expanding into fresh foods as well with Love Made Fresh. They actually tried to come on the podcast, and I was like, "Thank you, no thank you."
take your life force bits and get out of here, you crazy.
Right? Royal Canin is launching Fresh Health Nutrition, which is gently cooked, a new fresh line. Um, it looks like they're gonna start it in Chewy, or they did start it in Chewy maybe in the summer. Chewy launched its own fresh brand called Get Real in September. And then General Mills is continuing trying to buy up some of our brands that have been maybe not amazing, but on the better side, like
Yeah.
Tiki. And then let's see.
Well, I mean, just the fresh food brands, the treat companies with products similar to mine, raw foods, whatever, I feel like they are just popping up everywhere because people know that there's a market for it right now and they're playing on the trends of it, which I think is the dodgiest reason to get into making foods. Again, you
Yeah.
are playing around with an animal's life by just
Yeah.
getting into nutrition because you want the money. That's not something to
Yeah.
play around with. While they're popping up everywhere and it's hard to see some of these that I'm like, "Oh my," like, you might as well be feeding a kibble with how synthetic and unhealthy this is. However, devil's advocate, I'm glad that we are mainstreaming it
Yeah.
because where you know what I mean? It is shifting the tide, and I'm grateful for that.
Mhm.
So I think that what was it, Hills or somebody did a fresh food, like a gently cooked coming out, similar to Fresh Pet. Which one?
So Royal Canin is doing a gently cooked, Chewy is doing a gently cooked,
While I
Blue
think that it's
Buffalo
not
is
going to
trying.
be
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
we are now going to capture kibble feeders
Mhm.
that have been diehard hills or whatever feeders for their lives, and we're going to kinda influence them, and then maybe
Mhm.
they'll see a Raised Right commercial or a Goodness Gracious, and then they'll find a brand like that. I like anything that does open people's minds. Like for myself, I carry sweet potato chips and chicken jerky, and they're not bad, but they're not something I really want to make. They're time consuming. They're not exactly super profitable because I'm using higher quality, but it's familiar for people.
I bought your chicken jerky this last time, I will say, just because
It's
Kim is
great
so
for cats.
picky.
It's super great for cats too. It's thin, and I use like human grade chicken.
Mm.
But, like, it's not that special, you know what I mean? I'd rather focus on my really cool nutritious things and whole prey chunks of meat, but
Yeah.
I have to bring people in, and I do find that a lot of people are like, "Wow," but then they'll buy, like, the pork and apple bites because they're cutesy,
Mhm.
and that is a sales tactic. But
Yeah.
for me, it's a ethics backed sales tactic because then you like the pork and apple and then you start to trust me and then maybe next time you try a pork hide chew and then you swap out your rawhide rolls for pork hide rolls and then maybe after that you try a beef scapula or then after that you go from chicken jerky to a chicken foot and then you're like, oh, man, my dog likes this, and then next thing you know you're in this weird little rabbit hole that we live in.
Yeah.
And that's why I love, for me, the carnivore crates, bringing in these brand partners like Myco Dog, CBD Dog Health, um, who else did I In Clover Research. I captured people with the treats, and then I'm introducing, I call it like I'm putting tools in their toolbox. I'm influencing in a good way, I think, and these are all really good brands, and I'm excited and I'm proud to show them to these people that have trusted me with their dog's health, by buying my treats. And I think of it of like really, really cool peer pressure. Sometimes the drug is something that's gonna be really good for your dog,
Yeah.
and, I just think that that's like that whole rant video that I did about influence.
Mhm.
Sometimes influence isn't a bad thing. Sometimes it's okay to
Yeah.
be sold, but then look about what's driving that decision. Yes, obviously I need money. I need to pay my bills, but I'm not going to do dirty money, And there's a lot of us out there that are like that. There's a lot of us. And those are all brands that I like to work with. People like yourself and all these other amazing friends that we've made throughout this whole process. It's so cool to see people that are successful for, because
It
there's a
is.
lot of them that aren't, as we've discussed in this video, there's a lot of them that aren't, and the
Yeah.
pet food industry, everybody now I'm talking to, like, investors, and they're like, "Yeah, well, it was suggested, we saw that there's a lot of money going into the pet food industry and started to get involved." I'm like, "Leave. If that's
Yeah,
why you're
right.
here, don't talk to me.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't want your money. I don't want
100%.
your dirty money, and you're gonna push me to make bad decisions for profit,"
Yep.
so
Yep. I know. What was it I saw the other day? I think it was a quote from RFK Jr. He was like, "There are 4 meat packers in this country, and BlackRock owns all of them." Another reason to just buy from a farmer.
no.
Buy
It's
from a
hard too,
farmer.
like, I would love to buy a whole cow, but we are I'm not exactly rolling in it. We're basically a 1.5 income, family. It's hard for people to dish out that. Sometimes all I can afford is whatever I can get at Aldi that week, and maybe then we could do grass-fed, and it's hard because I just wish that the industry was honest for people.
Yeah, I know. It is. It's really hard. I don't know who I was talking to a mentee yesterday, and I was like, "I can't imagine not knowing what I know." But there are definitely days where I'm like, "Man, I wish I didn't know any of this because it's
Uh,
heavy.
it's
It's
heavy.
heavy."
I was just thinking that, I'm like, "God, everything is ruined for me." I can't go out and see a dog and just be like, "Oh, look at that dog." I'm like, "That's a fat dog. That's really a bummer. I hope that they address that before that dog dies prematurely or, like, blows an ACL because it's so deficient." Like,
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
it's I don't like being like that, but, you know, it's like there's so much that's ruined for me, but it's good, but yeah, what is that? Heavy is the no, that's a like a king quote or something like.
It is, yeah. But, I mean, it's real. I know, but I'm the same way. I see a dog and I'm like the first thing I see when I see a dog is what kinda color they're wearing. If there's, like, a prong collar on a dog, I'm like, "Oh god, my poor baby, I'm so sorry."
Yeah. If used correctly in certain
Yeah.
dogs, that's it can be a good tool. People hate on head collars too, but if trained, but yeah, and it's like I can recognize a prematurely neutered dog from a
Mm,
mile away. Those like stick straight legs, poor conformation, I know. And it sucks because it's the dog that suffers, but
mhm.
yeah, and then you have to find a nice way to like, "Oh, are you having some joint issues?" I've had great success. I mean, like, I've straight up lied to people to come up with a relatable way to not come off, like, preachy,
Mhm.
because it shuts people down.
It
And then
does,
at a
yeah.
certain point, you also need to accept, like, "I'm not gonna win this one." Like, in the comments of some, uh gosh, what was that one I also sent in the group where, like, the vets were like, "See this bone? This is gonna kill your dog, this leg bone," and it was like a turkey neck, and then, like, it
Yeah,
was
you're
it
like,
was that
"That's
was a
not
shit
even."
show. I had
Yeah.
to at least hop in and point out somebody's like, "Raw food companies are so unregulated," and I'm like, "Well, I beg
Wow.
to differ.
Really? Really? Have you
Which
been
one?"
to an AFCO meeting lately?
Yeah, I'm like, I think that they're heavily regulated, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard. Sometimes you have to just say, like, "I'm not gonna win this. Here's my piece. You're not gonna win some." It's the same with, like, I won't say the magic word, but the jab debate, at a
Yeah.
kindergartner. I'm done.
Yeah, well, and I just saw I don't remember which I have so many emails that I get, that are, like, either veterinary medical association related or pet food industry related. It had to have been one of the, like, AVMA or something emails, and it was literally the whole point of the email was talking about how influencers on social media are lying about the self-replicating mRNA vaccines, and it's like, you have no longevity in your studies whatsoever. How do you know that anybody is lying about anything? But and then there is one veterinarian that I saw do a video about it, about there's nothing wrong with them, but she's also the same one that I had to block because she was just, like, literally trolling me, and I'm like, "Do you
Er,
have nothing better to do? Like, how about you go take this nutrition course instead of trolling me if you have all this time?"
yeah. I like
Um,
to see vets on social media sometimes. And it's not
yeah,
even like I like to see the ones that are saying the things that it is education is never bad,
yeah.
I
No,
think. It doesn't always go the way that I would like, but it's hard. I think also, like, it's so easy to discredit someone by saying you're gonna listen to somebody on the internet without a degree. Um, when I know as a fact that, like, through experience and talking to people and going to these events and all of the independent research and education that I have, I know that I'm speaking the truth. I know that I'm speaking based on fact. Uh,
mhm,
but
yeah,
then you have certain influencers out there that are just louder,
mhm,
and it's hard. It's a hard one because it is. It's easy to say. I kind of agree. Sometimes you listen to people and you're like, oh, you have so much power.
I
And
know.
you're promoting chicken and rice
Yeah,
or
I know.
whatever.
It is bad.
A certain couple out there right now.
Mhm, yeah, yep. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I have a whole theory on that one, but anyway.
Yeah, that drives me nuts.
Yeah, yeah, the reach they have, though I'm sure it's not as much as it was at one point, but
I don't
who knows?
know.
Really?
It's just so funny because I saw someone referencing their book for raw feeding, and I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah,
book tour? And now you
yeah,
are
I'm
a
sure that
cream?"
publisher is thrilled.
Yikes.
Alright, well,
Yeah, is there anything else we missed in the ranting?
I mean, probably a million and one things, but I think we talked about what we came here to talk about at least. And yeah, I mean, I think next year is going to be very interesting. You know, obviously these companies, big companies, are getting in fresh food, and I'm with you. I'm like, if it's going to get somebody off of kibble and onto a gently cooked, even if it's the same quality of ingredients mixed with synthetics, at least that's a stepping stone.
Yeah.
And like now they've probably seen like just the difference in the moisture content, what that's gonna make in their pet, even though they're not gonna realize that's pretty much all it's gonna be. But even that can make a huge difference for the pet. And then, if we can then bring them over to the bright side.
Not so dark side, yeah.
Right. Just it is about making incremental changes. I know when I first switched to feeding raw food, I had already been feeding fresh food for a while, but I was that person that was like, I was just throwing stuff in our crock pot, and I was still feeding kibble because I knew that it wasn't balanced, and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just wanting to feed you real food and I don't know how to do it yet. I mean, that kind of thing. So once I actually transitioned to raw feeding, it was literally, I think I went live on my YouTube channel like every day for 30 days, and like this is what I learned today. And every day I was just learning something new to, okay, how am I actually going to do this right? Ultimately, I'm like buying the commercial food is how I'm going to do
Yeah.
it right.
That was pretty much how I went. I was like, "That's it, we're making our own food," and I was doing great. I was buying beef tongue and
Yeah,
kidney and heart and,
it's a lot.
it was so much, and I still was like, "Am I doing the right form of vitamin E?" It's a
Yeah.
lot, and I'm grateful for calculators, and I'm grateful for people that can formulate a balanced diet. I work with a lot of people like that, and it's great if you can afford that, and then you have the ability and the time and the money to complete a diet on your own. And it's then there's people that are like, "Ugh, it doesn't have to be balanced every day." I agree. My dogs sometimes eat treats. Like when we camp, my
Yeah.
dogs eat treats. I just bring a giant bag of body parts and then like
Dole
maybe
'em
some
out.
freeze-dried food, or maybe I'll bring, like, my Dr. Harvey's, and then I'll just feed them rabbit legs and meaty things all day, and then whatever their diagnosed, serving of the Dr. Harvey's just to give them a little bit. But honestly, you don't have to eat balanced every single day.
Yeah.
Is it maybe
No, I agree.
ideal? But,
Yeah.
like, eating
I don't
off
even know that it's ideal. Like, I don't even know that it's ideal. Like, that's not how animals eat in the wild. But, um, I think it's just a slippery slope with like, okay, no, I also agree that AFCO is not the end all be all and that we don't need to feed a balanced diet every single day. But that slope comes down to, okay, but you still have to be responsible enough to know what you fed yesterday and the week before and the month before so that you're rotating and you are doing the things to make it balance over time. And that in itself is something that I think a lot of people just don't have the bandwidth for, especially if you're, working 60 hours a week and you've got 3 kids and you're doing all that and you're like, I love my pets, but this is too much.
There are
I
some
get
days that I'm
that.
like, "I wish that I could just be a kibble feeder." Do you know what I mean? I wish I
Yeah.
didn't know better. Even yeah, like, Camden is like, "God, what's there's so many supplements," and I'm like, "Don't worry about them. Just" like, I'm not gonna make my poor mother-in-law do the 800 supplements. I'm gonna dose out the important ones, but, like, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
I wish that I could just scoop a food, but I wouldn't do that for myself.
Yeah.
Why how could I definitely wouldn't do that for my kid. I feel stressed out just giving him a granola bar, you know? How could I do that for my pets? And so for me, the grind is worth it, but at the same time, yeah, I'm not made of money. Dinner time around here is chaos. We have 4 cats, and luckily, somehow I have trained Wilder to feed all of the cats. Even the
Wow.
raw food and everything, he's like, "Okay, so 1 scoop of raw food for you, 2 scoops of raw food for you," and he's like, "Mom, where's the spoon? I need this spoon. Is this the right measurement?" He cracks me up. He's like, "Are we doing broth today?" You know, cracks me up, and I'm like, "Thank God. I was the only
Yeah.
one feeding everybody for so long." 'Cause then, like, the dogs now being seniors, they get their supplements, and it's a little bit more of an involved process now. Scarlett's on medicines, and it's a lot to do that, and to remember, do you know how often I forget to thaw their frozen food? Like,
Uh,
once a week
yeah.
minimum, and I'm sitting there, it's on my Mind Pet platter, which makes it thaw a little bit faster, but then the cats are on it, so then I have to hide it in the oven, and
Yeah.
it is a
Yeah.
lot, and when people are like, "I just, like, don't have the time for that," I'm like, "No, I get that. I get that. You're gonna have to adjust your schedule a little bit, though, if
Yeah.
it's worth it for you."
It
To me,
is.
it just is how important is your pet's longevity and holistic health.
It is. I know. Even like my sister-in-law is like, "Yeah, I don't think I can feed Kim the way you feed Kim right now." Because after the year we have had, like both of our health suffered this year. And I did a bunch of testing on her. And I've kind of come to the conclusion that like there was enough inflammation in her body that so she had a previous Ehrlichia in ordeal. I don't know, at some point. She was from Mexico, so obviously she was bitten by a tick at some point, and I've never had a problem with it for the 10 years I've had her, but all of a sudden, I'm just seeing, like, little things happening, and I'm like, "Okay, I don't wanna get to a point where she becomes symptomatic with this," because you can't ever get rid of my understanding, Ehrlichia is just always there, and
Yeah.
hopefully it doesn't pop up, like, the symptoms don't pop up, but I'm like, I feel like we're getting close. I felt like we were getting close, and so I literally have, like, an entire, like, tick-borne illness prevention protocol with her food, and we're doing something different literally every night of the week just because I'm trying to get that rotation in there, like, I'm feeding different colors of vegetables every night and different like, I'm doing all of these things and
Yeah.
it's temporary, right? But I feel like it's important for me to do this for her because I put her through this year, and I
Mhm.
don't want these symptoms to start popping up, and, she has had a
Well,
couple of
and you
things
know
happen.
what? If you have the capability to do that, hell yeah.
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
your 800 supplements, do all of your protocols, rotate your foods daily, count your colors of vegetable amazing. And then, like, I think it's important for people reading I think the dangerous thing is when people take that and they put that all over their Instagram, like,
yeah,
"This is how you should be feeding your dog." That is not realistic
right.
for so many people, you are going to cut people off. But to say, like, "I have the ability to do that, and that's amazing." Right now, I'm at a point in my life where I keep some kibble for when we need to send the dogs to whatever, and she gets a little bit of it. We have a big dog, and, to expect somebody to you have to soak this food, then weigh out, how many
Mhm.
ounces of this with 2 pumps of this, and then this and this and this powder. It's just not
Yeah,
realistic, and I think that being flexible with that is okay. One of my favorites is, like, fresh broth for us for some reason, like, it goes in the fridge and it's dead to me. And, like, I was so sick of throwing out good broth that I paid money for.
yep.
So do I know that the dried broth is not as good? Probably. We don't know that. Is
I've
that
bought some
I'm
from you to
assuming
try it.
anything yeah, like, I'm assuming that anything that's processed is not as good as the raw, right? Well, even broth's not raw, but not as good as the fresh. Having that powdered broth that I can just, like, scoop, 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 whatever, add some water, it allows me to do that to where normally I would just say, like, we just can't do broth. I never finish it, whatever. And I think that yeah, being flexible. Is that the theme here? Just allow yourself
Yeah,
to be
be
flexible?
flexible. Yeah. I have this, like, bin that I put in my refrigerator that has everything in it for Kim that it needs to be refrigerated. I have a separate one for all the, like, stuff that doesn't need to be refrigerated that stays out on the counter. And so I just grabbed the bin out of the fridge and, like, it's her food and her broth and whatever, and that way I'm not, like, forgetting things and they're not getting stuck behind things, and I'm like, "This
I'm like
is Kim."
six-month-old bottles of kefir in the back. I'm like, "It's a living food, right? It's just more for
Yeah.
you."
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
in
and I
theory.
think a lot of like you're saying, I think a lot of it is setting yourself up for success with it. Figure out
Yeah.
a routine. Yeah, if it's worth it to you, then you will find out a routine, you'll find a way to make it work. Again,
Yeah.
object permanence, not great for me. The cabinet was not a good place for supplements. However, I bought little magnetic shelves in our feeding nook, and then like having the kettle where I can just flip it on as I'm passing by. And if I end up back there 30 minutes later, whatever, maybe I'll flip it back on. Set yourself up in so many ways to not end up giving up and ending back on the convenience food. It's
Mhm.
gonna take a little bit of a tweak, but going straight to DIY raw is probably gonna ruin it for you. If you got through that and you're DIY, amazing, good for you.
I know.
I wasn't
I know.
I wasn't strong enough.
I know. Oh
The
my
pro
gosh. Me
No.
either. Me either. And, like, I'm not squeamish, but what's funny is, like, I did a video one time where I was doing a DIY meal prep, and everybody was like, "The way you're holding the liver," and I'm like, "The liver doesn't bother me, but apparently the way I hold it makes people think it bothers me."
Liver's a weird one. It's
It is
squiggly.
a weird texture for sure.
It reminds me of, like, an oobleck where it's, like, liquid when you're not pressing it, but then it's, like, hard when you are
Yes.
pressing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't do organs, if you've noticed. Yeah. I know.
Alright, lady. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I could go
I
on forever, but
I know. Yeah. Well,
in
I
turn,
think
be flexible, try fresh things, be open to change, and just think about whether your pet's health, I think, is worth a slight
Mhm.
amount of inconvenience while you figure out your routine.
Yeah, yeah. It is, by the way. It is worth it, I
And
think.
shop it is, I agree. Shop consciously. I'm like, if I can push people to do anything, I don't care what decision you come to based on your research, at least research and come up with an educated decision, not driven by ads.
Yeah, I know that shiny object syndrome can really like, before you know it, like, if you look back over the past year, if you have spent hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars on supplements that are sitting in your cabinet, what could we have done with that food before going to buy those supplements? Man, that is such a huge that's a big one for me.
You
I'm
ain't
like,
can't out supplement a bad diet.
"Nope, cannot."
Yeah, they're feeding a kibble with 800 supplements, like, "Girl, just go buy a case of Steve's
Right?
and, like, feed the tiniest amount. I don't care, crack an egg in there."
Yeah.
Yeah, don't
So
beat yourself up.
BC was here watching. He says, "Don't beat yourself." Oh, you were just reading it? Yeah, don't beat
Yeah,
yourself up if you can't do the best every single day. I
I
think,
agree.
you know what? If nobody died, you did pretty good that day.
But did you die? Yeah.
But did you die? We're both
No.
Libras, but
I
did you die?
I am such a shit show, honestly. I'm
Yeah.
like, I now pay somebody to be like, "Hey, did you get this done?" And I'm like, "No. No, I didn't," because I'm on my 3rd virus of the week. You know,
Yeah.
I
Well, with
agree.
a little one, yeah, he's
Yeah, and
constantly
now
getting sick.
apparently I needed more bodies to add to the chaos of Christmas. I'm already doing all the Christmas shopping.
Alright. Well, thank you so much for joining me, Lauren. It is
Yeah.
always a pleasure to talk to you. Hopefully, did your oh, wait, what day is it? Maybe not till Monday. I was gonna say I sent you a package, but it might not get there until Monday.
Oh my god, I need to do the wellness test. I'm doing it.
No,
I'm
I
telling
meant
you,
another.
I don't know if you saw my story that I posted filing a complaint against I don't know if it's the Myco dog or what, but that's the only thing I can think of that I've, like, tweaked. I went to, like, a higher dose of the I think we're on Vitality now. Sunshine is such a menace. I'm like, "Are we having a Benjamin Button?" She's so naughty. All of a sudden, like, it was always a known fact that I can put her on the couch and she'll be on the couch when you get back. I can put her on the bed, she'll be there. All of a sudden, she's jumping down, ripping through bags of stuff, jumping up to grab bags of groceries down, shredding through it, getting into the trash, zooming around,
Yeah, yeah.
barking. She barks now.
I'm telling like, I with Kim, I did start adding the clarity, but I also started Totonics, and I really think that has made such a huge difference for her. And
It's
it's not expensive,
yeah.
like, such a huge difference. Anyway, not an ad.
Yeah. Not an ad.
Hashtag not an ad.
I like ads, personal
Yeah,
ad for things that actually work. And that was my whole rant about
yeah,
influence too. I'm like, it's okay to be influenced sometimes if they're actually good products. Then
yeah.
how do you judge it? It's hard.
It is hard. All right. Well, thank you so much, Lauren.
You
Girls
go
Gone
take my
Raw.
ugly dog sweater and
It's so cute though.
go out in my
All right.
blustery, terrible weather.
I appreciate you. And thanks for wrapping up 2025 with me. We'll talk again in 2026, I'm sure.
Hopefully we can get you involved in the carnivore crate next year.
Oh my gosh,
I'm
yes,
excited.
I've got to do that.
January is gonna be a really good one. I'm just like, we already started planning for it, which I'm not usually this ahead of it, but we started planning products. I'm really excited. It's
That's
gonna be a good one, I
amazing.
think, so
That's amazing. I love it.
alright, thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, I'm sure we'll talk again in 2026.
I'll probably, yeah, talk to you in, like, 2 hours, but formally talk on the in
Right, right.
yeah. Alright, thank
Bye.
you. Thanks for dealing with my 85 breaks.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.